What's going on, everyone? Welcome into this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugi, and happy Monday to all of you. It is Royals opening day today, and it was a successful day for the Royals, so that is good. Air horns for that. So a big congrats to the Royals. They're 2-2 now after an 0-2 start, so hey, it's early. Still a lot of baseball to play, but we'll see how things go for them. We had a great weekend, of course. Planet Comic-Con Kansas City, a success. The booth that Neil Smith and Duran Cherry shared, a lot of fans came out on Sunday. Big thank you to everyone who visited Duran Cherry and Neil Smith, taking pictures with them, having them sign autographs. All of the proceeds for that went to their foundations, the Duran Cherry Foundation, as well as the Derek Thomas and Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation. So a big congrats to their foundations. Very happy for those guys. They absolutely deserve it. And I've got to give a big thank you to everyone who attended the Chiefs Zone Live, the first ever Chiefs Zone Live. That was a lot of fun. It was a success. And a lot of you guys commented on my social media looking for me, and I wasn't able to see all the comments at the time because, first of all, the Wi-Fi in that building can be crazy with all the congestion. Second of all, I don't check my phone too frequently, especially the comments while I'm there. Still got to keep the content going, of course, but I don't check comments frequently, especially when I'm at events and whatnot, especially during the weekend. But nonetheless, for those who were looking for me, for those who came up, said hello, greatly appreciate all of you guys who did so. Most importantly, I've got to give a big thank you, a lot of thank yous, to Planet Comic-Con Kansas City. First and foremost, Chris Jackson, the founder of Planet Comic-Con KC, him and his team, they've been absolutely great to us. They really have. They had some ideas, we had some ideas, and we were trying to find a happy medium at the end, a happy middle at the end of the day, and just trying to make sure that we all were able to come to an agreement that both sides, every side would like. Duran Cherry, Neil Smith, their foundations, me, the convention. I mean, we all wanted to benefit from this, and we're all pretty happy about it. I will say this, and I usually keep conversations private, but I'm going to make it public because they have spoke out about this, specifically Chris Jackson, the founder. But I spoke to Chris Jackson as well as another one of his colleagues who he works with, who's higher up on the Planet Comic-Con food chain, and they want us back. They want me back. They want Duran back. They want Neil back. One of you guys, I believe his name is Tim, who him and his wife traveled from Kentucky to come to this, which is awesome. So I guess he commented. He commented on the Comic-Con Facebook page, Planet Comic-Con KC Facebook page, and said, "Hey, I enjoyed this convention. My favorite part was the Chiefs Zone Live with Farzin. Would love to see it again." And Chris Jackson, the founder of Planet Comic-Con KC, and listen, if the founder is speaking on this, I think it's safe to mention it on here. He commented and said, we want it back next year. Would love to have it back next year. And that's pretty flattering. Like I said, I usually like to keep these things private in case something changes, but hey, if they're putting it out there, I think we can safely say, they want us back next year. And if you want to plan ahead, April 2nd through the 4th, not 2026, 2027. I don't think they're going to plan another convention in less than a week. That would be very interesting. But it is going to be 53 weeks away, if you will. So if you want to attend another Chiefs Zone Live, it sounds like we will have another one at Planet Comic-Con in the future, and I'm certainly excited to have that. That's going to be very exciting. I will say this, and some of you guys who attended the show asked me about this. By the way, a couple of podcasters even approached me. It was very nice to meet those guys as well. A lot of you guys asked about whether it's in person at the convention or on social media. A lot of you guys were asking, will there be another Chiefs Zone Live this year? We don't know right now. We want to. I can tell you we absolutely want to do it. And there are businesses, and I've said this before we made the official announcement for Planet Comic-Con, but there were a lot of businesses that did reach out to me. And I can't tell you how humbling, how grateful I am for that. Like that's a huge deal. And the most important thing is we've got to do it right, and it's got to be at a good location. We can't just pick a location just because someone's offering it to us. That matters a lot. I will say this. I had a meeting earlier this month talking about potential sites for a second Chiefs Zone Live. And we do have a meeting set. I'm going to be going on vacation very soon. But once I get back from vacation, I am going to be meeting with the venue host. Obviously can't give any details right now. But we have some expectations. And by the way, for doing this potentially again at next year's Planet Comic Con, and the higher ups there, we chatted very briefly about this. There's no point in going into detail to it too much right now, but they did say, hey, nothing wrong with thinking far in advance and seeing what we can do. And I've got ideas in mind. I know everyone else involved has ideas in mind as well. So we'll figure it out. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. The only big thing with this that I wish I could have done differently, because we kind of put the pieces together a little late. We announced this a little later than we would have liked. I think it was we were 5 weeks away when we announced this. Certainly would have liked to announce it much sooner. But hey, and that's something they told me, is that getting this announced much sooner can definitely help. I will say this Sunday, when it started off, Neil and Duran's lines were pretty quiet. And I'm not going to lie, I was fairly nervous about that. Sunday is usually the much more quieter day of the three. Saturday is batshit crazy. I don't know if you guys saw my my reel about it. I posted the video of the line outside. People who had not even picked up their credentials, because you have to pick up your credentials first, then you get in line to get into the actual convention floor. Dude, Saturdays are always wild. I remember my first time, rookie attendee, going on a Saturday. I was looking for parking. It took me 50 minutes just to get around the building. That was not fun. That was not fun at all. But we are... we're going to keep an open line of communication with Planet Comic Con KC, and we want to do it again. In a perfect world for me, I'd like for our special guests, whoever that might be there all 3 days. I would prefer our panel to be on a Friday or a Saturday where they have more attendees. But by the way, to go back to my comment about Sunday, it did pick up eventually. First hour was fairly quiet, but boy, it really picked up for Neil and Duran, their meet and greet. We have a lot of people who came over to visit. We've got a lot of footage as well to share as well. The Duran Cherry Foundation did share a really great clip. If you haven't seen it already, please go to the Duran Cherry Foundation website on their Facebook or on their Instagram. Planet Comic Con shared it. I shared it. It's there was a heartwarming moment there between Duran and a Chiefs fan. So please check it out if you haven't done so already. A couple other quick thank yous I got to give before we move on and talk some Chiefs. As you see, I am sporting the Mr. D's Donuts hat. I got to give a big shout out to Johnny and his family. Small family-owned donut shop in Lenexa. I cannot say how happy I am for them because they are expanding. They're going to be opening a donut shop very close to where I live in Overland Park. So as someone that's trimmed down on my weight, I think I can make a visit here and there a couple times a month. But I'm very happy for them. They absolutely deserve the growth that they're experiencing right now. I mean, they are taking off, and I'm happy to see it. They absolutely deserve it. By the way, the reason I'm thanking Johnny is because he offered, when the announcement was made, because I didn't tell a whole lot of people about this, Johnny offered to bring donuts for the show, brought all kinds of donuts. I posted their donuts before. They make these great Chiefs-themed donuts during the playoffs. Unfortunately, we didn't have a postseason this year in Kansas City, but boy, over the last several years, they've done it, and they sell out of those real fast. In fact, there are a lot of Chiefs players that actually request donuts from Johnny's, and Johnny will actually go to the practice facility in person and deliver it, and the players will take it home to their families. It's really cool. I'm happy to see them grow. So a huge thank you to Johnny for being super awesome and very generous in bringing donuts to the live show. They ran out of donuts. Everybody got a donut. In fact, I think there were some people that wanted a donut that didn't get a donut. So that tells you we should have planned better for that one. But I'm very happy for Johnny. And somebody said that was their first time attending a Comic-Con panel where they got fed. So that's always good. I'm also sporting Beskar books. Of course, you know, Beskar, that's in reference to The Mandalorian. I got to give a big shout out to Ryan from Beskar. He, so I followed him because I saw Planet Comic-Con. KC shared one of their videos, and this account, Beskar Books, they DM'd me and they said, "Holy shit, I listen to your podcast." I was like, "Oh, cool." And they've been nothing but awesome to me, especially Ryan. He's kind of gotten me into comic books. That's kind of a hobby I've been very curious and interested in, because I've seen a few episodes of Comic Book Man with Ming Chen and all of those guys. I can't remember the name of the host, Kevin something. Maybe you guys can help me out, but Ryan's been awesome to me, and he's introduced me to some comic artists as well. He's super awesome. So he's been extremely supportive. He actually knows some of the higher ups from Planet Comic-Con KC. It's a very small world, a very, very small world. So big shout outs to Ryan and his friends, his team over at, as well as Phil as well, at Planet Comic-Con KC and Beskar Books. A couple artwork I do have to showcase. As you can see, this right here is I got to do this without knocking things over. This will not stay up on my wall permanently. This is just for today's show, but this, of course, is the painting from the Patrick Mahomes playoff game against Miami. You can see my fingers right on the tip of it right there. That's the piece where Mahomes, a piece from Mahomes' helmet that went flying in that playoff game against Miami. That is made by Anthony Oropeza. Anthony, I've seen his work on Instagram before, and I've seen him promoted on Planet Comic-Con KC, but I never connected with Anthony until this year. He was on this podcast. We talked about his work. He shared a great story about meeting Travis Kelce and introducing his Travis Kelce painting to Kelce himself. And he revealed a nice little Kelce Swift painting that I posted about, if you haven't seen it already. Anthony's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever come across. And his work is awesome. In fact, I mentioned the gentleman, the couple actually from Kentucky. They met me, and I saw some of the paintings they had in their hands. They had 3 of Anthony's artwork, which was awesome to see. He absolutely deserves it. And I hope if you didn't get to meet Anthony at Planet Comic-Con KC, or if you were not here, check out his website. Let me make sure I have the right website. his initials, aoart5.com. Go check it out. He's got a lot of great pieces that are worth buying. This will be going up in the man cave this week. And then I got to shout out one more person, not Chiefs related, but that right there is a painting from Final Fantasy IV, I believe. Yes. And this one is from, okay, this is about to fall, so let's hold it here. From Final Fantasy VI. So if you've played either of the Final Fantasies, you're kind of familiar with thinking that hopefully that does not fall over. But you are familiar with Final Fantasy, and I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, as you guys know. Going to conventions, I have a great deal of respect for artists. I mean, that is not easy. I have no patience with art. So I've purchased from Landon before Final Fantasy art, and then I said, hey, got to do it again. So I have to shout out these people here. They've been awesome. And a big thank you once again to Planet Comic-Con KC, as well as everyone who came up, said hello to me, Neil, Duran, and attended the live podcast. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate all of you guys. All right. We'll stop right there. Let's go into some Chiefs talk now, because I know that's what you guys are here for. There's a lot to get into. Andy Reid spoke to the media recently, specifically NFL Network, and had a lot to say on Saturday. Clark Hunt also spoke earlier today regarding whether or not the Chiefs might play that Week 1 game in Seattle. John Sherman also spoke today, given that it is Royals home opening day. And he was asked a lot of questions about the future of the Royals. Speaking of the future of the Royals, they're currently at the Truman Sports Complex. Phil Lavoda, the county executive replacing Frank White, he revealed a really interesting plan for the Truman Sports Complex. And I'm here to tell you, this is probably the most unrealistic thing I have ever heard in my life. In fact, I do want to start there because that was on Thursday, excuse me. And I have not had a chance to chime in on this until now. So here is one of the renderings. I'll show a couple of them. So that right behind this Christmas tree here is supposed to be Arrowhead. Oh, let me remove that. There we go. That is supposed to be Arrowhead Stadium, but I guess it's gonna get replaced someday, and it's gonna be replaced by this thing that looks like it's from a Hallmark holiday card or one of those like very old school Christmas decorations. Like, I don't even know, like, what is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be a shopping center, like a plaza, like a Zona Rosa, town center, a prairie fire? Like, what is this supposed to be? Because he announced a task force for the future of the Truman Sports Complex. And then he said, you know what? Maybe the Truman Sports Complex could look like this. And then he had his assistants bring out these renderings. I'll show one more rendering here. And I do have to mention the Arrowhead Stadium part because their plans for that are kind of interesting. Here is another rendering here. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Kauffman Stadium there. Yeah, this looks like the plaza. This looks like a mix of the plaza and Zona Rosa. You know the Barnes and Noble at Zona Rosa? This kind of reminds me of that part of Zona Rosa. And if you notice, there's a Ferris wheel, there's a roller coaster. I mean, Worlds of Fun is just 15 to 20 minutes away. There's also a hotel, but if you look at the sign right there, it says Hotelli. Yeah, this was made by AI. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose was for this. What were they trying to do in all of this? I don't know. Look, I get that Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County, and Missouri are pissed off that the Chiefs are leaving Arrowhead and the state completely. I get it. I mean, on the day the Chiefs made it official that they're going to leave, there were some not so nice things said by the politicians on the Missouri side. The governor, I mean, I thought the governor's statement was very disrespectful that day, saying that the Chiefs decided to go against their father's wishes. And by the way, while we're on this topic, why are so many people speaking for Clark Hunt? I don't like when people speak for other people. Why as a society do we speak for other people so much? I don't care if you're a fan of, I don't care if you're the biggest fan of that person. If you're the president of that person's fan club, don't speak for anyone else unless you are quoting them directly. The only person that should ever speak for anyone else is the actual family members of a specific individual, whether they're alive or no longer with us. The fact that people are weaponizing Lamar Hunt's name is just weird. Oh, Clark won against his father and all of this. Well, first of all, Lamar trusted Clark Hunt with this. And by the way, if we want to go off everything Lamar Hunt wanted, yes, I get he is an icon in this sport and he's done so much for this sport. But not every single idea of Lamar Hunt's was great. Lamar Hunt wanted AFC and NFC championship games played on a neutral site. Do you think Lamar Hunt would want that today, given how many times the Chiefs have hosted AFC championship games, 6 and 7 years? He absolutely would not want that. He would have wanted those 6 games at Arrowhead. And if they followed through with Lamar Hunt's idea, there would have been a lot of AFC championship games that would have been played outside of Arrowhead Stadium. And look, I'm not a fan of wanting to change your mind just because, let's say in Lamar Hunt's perfect world, the Chiefs did play all those AFC championship games in neutral site. Because I've seen some people say, Lamar Hunt would have changed his mind. Probably, but I'm not a fan of wanting to change your mind just because you would then want it to go in your favor and play at, the loudest stadium in the world. So I get people are frustrated that the Chiefs are moving, but don't speak for Lamar Hunt. Don't speak for him. Unless you knew him personally very, very well. The other part of it is, look, if you're Missouri, I get it. You're kind of a frantic spot because you don't want to tear these stadiums down, which, by the way, one of the renderings, which I don't have on me right now, Arrowhead Stadium essentially is a horse track, a racetrack. Listen, I don't know a damn thing about horse racing. I don't. I could not care less about that sport. It is not my thing. If that's your thing, great. But if you think the people of Missouri who are outraged that the Chiefs are leaving, if you think you are going to successfully fill that stadium up as like hey, look at us, see, we can survive without the Chiefs, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Now listen, the idea of a shopping center or whatever this is supposed to be, it's not a terrible idea, but it's also extremely unrealistic. Like if the Truman Sports Complex ever looks like that in my lifetime, I will eat a dozen raw eggs. I'll do it live on this podcast. But I don't see that happening. They have a river walk. The most famous river walk, we see a lot of the San Antonio River Walk. I don't know how, I suppose you can make a fake river walk. I don't know how that all works, but I guess that's a doable thing, but and listen, I don't know. Do we need more shopping centers here in this town? I'm not here to say yes or no. We have the Crossroads. We have P&L. We have the Plaza, Zona Rosa, Town Center, Prairie Fire. I know downtown Lee Summit has a nice little area there. Downtown Overland Park. I'm not saying this is a bad idea, but I am saying this is an unrealistic idea. I don't see it happening. Brad is saying Jackson County and Independence had 50 years to build that area up and chose not to. So this is an interesting comment here because for a while, the Mayor Quinton Lucas, said we can do more to activate the area around the Truman Sports Complex. But in training camp, Clark Hunt refuted that and said he doesn't see that as a possibility. Now, to Brad's point, sure, they could have done this. Now, what they proposed here, and I don't even know if you can call it a proposal, but I guess an idea that they tossed out there, whatever the hell this was, they basically are covering the parking lots over at the Truman Sports Complex. Now, you still have a stadium sitting in these renderings, so, I mean, I don't know where people are going to park and go watch what? another NFL team in the future, or is this going to be a racetrack? Is there going to be another baseball team? Because as far as we know, the Truman Sports Complex is going to officially be over in 2031 unless they can revamp it to something that they're trying to make it sound to be. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. The Chiefs are out. The Royals have said they are done with the Truman Sports Complex. They want to be downtown. Now, I gave my thoughts on the whole Truman Sports Complex thing. I think this is a good transition to John Sherman, who spoke to several media outlets today. He was asked about whether or not there will be a deadline for the Royals and their stadium relocation. Funny enough, 12 months ago, he said he'd like to have a decision by the middle of the year, and they never got to it. It was the Chiefs. Remember, the Chiefs were the ones who asked Kansas for an extension, and they got it. The Royals just took advantage of it, but they didn't end up doing anything with it. Now, he does say that having the Royals and Major League Baseball stay here for the next 50 years is something that they've got to do. In this region, he means. And he did say in a press conference that they do not intend on leaving the Metro. They intend on staying here. Because we've heard rumors about Nashville, Salt Lake City, but it sounds like they're going to stay here, according to John Sherman. He thinks downtown is a good idea. But he said they're also keeping their options open, including North KC, whose commissioner, by the way, kind of shut down the idea of any possibility of them coming in North KC. And Sherman did confirm they're still talking to Kansas, which is interesting. Now, I guess they're not going to be getting star bonds, but I guess conversations are still happening. Now, I don't know what those conversations are like. I would be very interested if Ty Masterson or Laura Kelly spoke on this. But according to Sherman, they're still talking to Kansas. He did add that there is a sense of urgency. He knows that, look, we're in 2026. Building a lot of these stadiums takes 2 to 3 years. Yeah, that's actually being generous. It's usually 3 to 4 years. You've also got to design it. That takes a little bit of time. Dude, you are running out of time. I'll be honest, I don't know if the Royals are going to make a deal. I think realistically, they're going to have to extend their current deal at Kauffman by at least 2 years so they can get enough time to move on. Unless they announce something this week, which I doubt that happens. Listen, I've said it before. I will say it again. Washington Square Park, could it work? Yes. You got Union Station next to you. You've got Crown Center south of a potential Kauffman Stadium. And then, you got the rest of the crossroads in downtown north of the stadium. But Washington, if you live in Kansas City, or if you'll be visiting anytime soon, go to Union Station and walk across the street to Washington Square Park. You guys tell me if that will work. That might be great for the KC Monarch Stadium, the former Kansas City T-Bones. I don't know about a Major League Baseball team, maybe a minor league baseball team. That area is ridiculously small. Sam Munson, I'm sorry, not Sam Munson. Sam, I can't think of his name of the Kansas City Star. I forgot his last name. I apologize. Sam McDowell. He even said that area is too small for a baseball team. Now, unless they negotiate with some of the building owners nearby and have those buildings taken down, but we do know with the Royals, they're not the best with the negotiating. They claim that they were in communication with the business owners in the Crossroads, where they were going to build that stadium for the April 2nd vote 2 years ago. And the business owners there said otherwise. They said that is not the case. And I think that's a huge reason why the Royals lost this vote, is because their lack of transparency. I would even say them lying to the public. And then they're doing these public Q&As, not even in Kansas City, Missouri, which made no sense, or even in Jackson County. Let me see. Was there anything else on the John Sherman front that I forgot that I think is worth noting? My whole thing with John Sherman right now is they just don't. It feels like they don't know what they're doing. I mean, he said today, and this is the first time I've heard him say this. He said he didn't want to go into details, but he admitted that there are a lot of things he would do differently with that 2024 vote from 2 years ago. Well, no shit. They lost that one in embarrassing fashion. What was it? 58% to 42%? When a lot of people thought the Royals and the Chiefs were going to win that vote in a landslide. And I remember Nate Taylor tweeted after the vote failed. He said he asked Clark Hunt, hey, if this vote fails, what's the backup plan? And Clark Hunt basically said, yeah, I don't think this vote will fail. By the way, I've seen a lot of people say Clark Hunt and the Chiefs intentionally put out bad renderings because the renderings that they had for renovation ideas, those were nothing exciting. They weren't. And a lot of people are accusing Clark Hunt of putting a bad proposal out there so they could lose the vote. I don't think so. Listen, I don't know what a couple $1 million means to Clark Hunt. Probably pennies and nickels to him. Not to spit on, what the value of $1 million or $2 million. No, but the Chiefs invested a lot of money in those proposals, those renderings. Also, a week or two before the vote, Clark Hunt penned a statement trying to clarify a lot of the confusion out there, whether this would be a new sales tax or it's renewing a sales tax. I mean, he was trying to clarify a lot of things and trying to convince people to vote in favor of them. I don't think Clark Hunt was trying to throw this, guys. I really don't. I know a lot of people believe that out there. I don't think he was trying to put a bad proposal out there. I don't think that's something that they would do. That would be a big waste of time for everybody. I mean, dude, they would grab Mahomes and Kelsey after practice because you could tell they were wearing their practice gear, and they would tell them, hey, just say, please vote yes, or something like that. They also did the same with Salvador Perez. I mean, you were using Mahomes, Kelsey, and Perez, who I would argue are three of the most beloved professional athletes ever in this city's history. You used them as a marketing tool, and you still could not get things to go your way. Still. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with the Truman Sports Complex. I don't know what's going to happen with the Royals. I don't even think the owners of the stadiums and the Royals know what the hell the future holds for them. Make Clark Hunt pay for the demolition of the stadium? Why? He does not own that stadium. There was never an agreement that if the Chiefs move, Clark Hunt has to own the stadium. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, if you're mad that the Chiefs are moving, fine, say you're mad. I don't care. But don't do this whole, make Clark Hunt buy it. That's like you going to Walmart, and you go to Walmart for a whole 2 hours. But then you leave with nothing, and the store manager says, no, sir, you spent 2 hours in my store. You have to buy something. You can't make people buy things. That's ridiculous. We'll see what ends up happening. All right, let's talk some actual Chiefs football on here now. Andy Reid had a lot to say on Saturday when he spoke to NFL.com or NFL Network here. He was asked about Patrick Mahomes, and he said there is no specific timeline on Mahomes for now and couldn't really commit to saying whether or not he'll be there in week one, but he did say that he's there for 7 hours a day. Clark Hunt spoke to the media today, and specifically Nate Taylor put out these quotes here, and he was asked about whether or not Mahomes would play that week one game, possibly in Seattle on a Wednesday. And Clark Hunt said that's very unlikely because even though there's a lot of optimism, because Clark Hunt did say he's ahead of schedule, you also want to play it safe. You don't want to have Justin Fields versus Sam Darnold for your week one number one game of the season to start things off. You don't want that. And Andy Reid did say he's spending 7 hours a day in the training room, and it's showing off. So that's good to see. He also spoke about Justin Fields, and if Mahomes is unable to start in week one, Andy Reid expressed a lot of confidence in calling Justin Fields a, quote, legitimate backup, and felt like he can go in there and win games for the Chiefs if need be. He also spoke about Kenneth Walker coming in here, the reigning Super Bowl MVP, and mentioned that he's going to be a good football player. He'll be used heavily, and that, the way that he's valued certainly is not going to change. And I want to get back to Kenneth Walker in a moment here, because a lot of people are responding to this answer from Andy Reid saying, well, commit to the run game, because that's something the Chiefs have not done much of during Andy Reid's tenure. Andy Reid was also asked about replenishing the secondary because they lost Trent McDuffie, Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, Brian Cook moved on to Cincinnati. There are going to be a lot of new faces in the secondary. And Andy Reid did say that many times in the past they've had to replenish the secondary, and he's right. They did it 4 years ago. The guys I just mentioned who the Chiefs have lost or traded away, those were the guys that were brought in to replace the defensive backs who moved on. Guys like Tyrann Mathieu, Charvarius Ward, several others. Because the only experienced players they had at the quarterback position were who? L'Jarius Sneed and Rashad Fenton. And Fenton got released during that season. Or released or traded, I can't remember. One of those two. And those defensive backs did pretty well their rookie seasons in 2022. And they ended up having a great 4 years in KC. Andy Reid mentioned during his time in Philly, he's had to replenish the secondary. Same during his time in Green Bay. Now, in Green Bay, he was just the offensive coordinator, but that is something that, as a team, they needed to rebuild. So Andy Reid felt pretty good about the future of the secondary, especially in the near future. He even referenced Noel Williams, saying that they drafted a really good kid last year, and they hope they continue to use him this year. I think there's also a good chance that Jaden Hicks could be a very important piece, a key piece for the secondary next year, this upcoming year as well. I still think they've got to look at a piece or two, actually 3 at the bare minimum in the draft for sure. I know they brought in Alohi Gilman, who's done some good things in the past, but they're going to need more help. They also got Kohu, who's played a lot of slot quarterback in the past. I think he's going to replace Trent McDuffie. Won't play as well as McDuffie, but he is a good blitzing corner, something that McDuffie was very good at in the past as well with the Chiefs. So we'll see what they do on that front there. And Andy Reid did also mention, reflecting on the 2025 season, talking about, and this word has been used a lot this year, retooling. Talks about how it's important to look at the negatives from last season and having the end of the season, the way it ended, try to turn that into a positive by retooling and hoping that they come out better in 2026. Now, I do want to go back to the comment about Kenneth Walker, because in order for them to be better in 2026, the offense has to play much better. Defense, listen, all things considered, the defense I thought played well. Not great. They've gradually declined over the last couple of years. They've still been a top 10 defense 3 years in a row in total defense and points allowed, which is huge. However, they've got a lot of pieces that they got to replace, and we talked about that. But I still think the defense, they'll bring in a lot of new faces, don't get me wrong, but I still think the defense will be fine. My hope is the offense improves. Now, do I think the offense needs help with new additions this year? Yes. I know right tackle, there's a lot of conversations as to what the Chiefs will do at 9. A lot of people are hoping the Chiefs will not take a right tackle. I would not mind a right tackle. I would not mind a right tackle at all. But I will say it's most important that, they get it right. That's the big thing to me. if a lot of the guys end up going that they want at number 9, sure, Francis Mauigoa, nothing wrong with him. I know that's not a thrilling pick at 9. That is the least exciting thing other than a kicker, punter, or a long snapper at 9. But boy, I know that would benefit Patrick Mahomes greatly. That would, I think, be a big upgrade from Jalen Moore. I'm not very confident with Jalen Moore at right tackle. I'm not. Now, could he improve with Eric Bieniemy being the offensive coordinator? Perhaps. But here's what I will say. I think the Chiefs offense in general, let's say the Chiefs offense right now. So you have Mahomes as your quarterback, and we don't know if he's going to play in week 1, but let's assume he will. Mahomes is your quarterback. Kenneth Walker is your running back. You also have DeMarcado. You also have Rashard Smith. Your wide receivers, your main ones, Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice. Your offensive line from left to right, you have Josh Simmons, King Lucio Monteia, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Jalen Moore. For right now, that is. Just to be clear, I'm saying for right now. And by the way, I should include Jalen Royals as part of that receiving group because I know there was some hype for him. And he had a very good training camp last year, but after that knee tendonitis, we barely saw Jalen Royals after that. He didn't catch his first pass. He wasn't even targeted until week 18 when Chris Oladokun threw to him in that meaningless Raiders game to end the season. Here's what I will say right now about the Chiefs offense. I do have high expectations for this offense, even if the starting 11 stays the way it is, the way I just worded it. For a couple of reasons. Number one, you have Kenneth Walker on this team. You also have Amari DiMercado on this team. We know that in this sport, a good running game will open up a passing game. And I'll use 2010 as an example. Who did the Chiefs have in 2010 as their running backs? They had Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones. The Chiefs ranked number 1 in the league that year in rushing yards. Now, can you name their pass catchers? I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I cannot do that very well right now. But even though the Chiefs ranked near the bottom in the passing game, that is kind of a misleading stat because they were still able to do some things in the passing game very, very well that I don't think we would have seen had it not been for their running game. So, for example, if you remember, Dwayne Bowe, after a slow start, led the league in receiving touchdowns that season with 15. Tony Moeaki was a rookie that season and had a fairly good season as a tight end. Chris Chambers, who came in from the Chargers the year before because he was cut mid-season, he went through a full offseason, and I thought he had a solid contribution. Dexter McCluster, this was brought up on my social media over the weekend because one of the historic NFL Twitter accounts put out a nice little clip of McCluster making Giants defenders miss on a special teams return play. I thought Dexter McCluster could have done well under Andy Reid. He only spent 1 year with Reid, but go look at McCluster's stats. His best years as a returner and a receiver under Andy Reid and Dave Tope. But I digress. That's not the great. Then you had Terrence Copper, Jeremy Horn. Remember Jeremy Horn? You had Tony Moeaki, Leonard Pope as your tight ends, Jake O'Connell. That's not a great set of pass catchers. But the Chiefs were able to make some things work that year because of the running game with Thomas Jones and Jamal Charles. So I think when you look at the Chiefs right now, they have some explosive running backs in Kenneth Walker, Amari DiMercado, and Rashard Smith. We don't know the future of Kareem Hunt yet. Maybe he re-signs after the draft. He's still available for the time being. But I think having the running game you have now is going to open up so much things with the passing game. We discussed this with Deron Cherry a couple of weeks ago, where a lot of opposing defenses did not stack the box. They had no fear in the Chiefs' run game, and rightfully so. Why would they? The longest run of the season was by Kareem Hunt. I think he had a 33-yard run against Jacksonville, and the sad part about that is Patrick Mahomes still led the Chiefs in rushing yards for that game. That's how bad the Chiefs run. Even the biggest run by a Chiefs running back still was not enough to even be considered the best rushing performance by the team, statistically speaking. So I think having a running game is going to help so much more. I think bringing Tyquan Thornton back was extremely significant. This guy did a lot of great things early on in the season, and the fact that his playing time decreased was a shame. It decreased heavily. Like he was almost he was basically invisible the rest of the season, which I thought was stupid. I will say this. I think the other big reason why the Chiefs will be better, you have Chad O'Shea as your wide receivers coach. That is a massive upgrade for the coaching staff and the offense as a whole. Gronk said on Kay Adams' show that Chad O'Shea is responsible for the success Julian Edelman's had in his career. Julian Edelman is a former Super Bowl MVP. Yes, that was a Super Bowl where it was a low-scoring game. The defenses were showing out, but Julian Edelman pulled through when a lot of offensive players on both sides of the ball did not do much in that one. So that is worth something. Oh, who else is on your coaching staff now? Eric Bieniemy. And I've already gone through the numbers with you. This is not a coincidence. The Chiefs were in the top 6 all 5 years under Bieniemy as OC in points scored and total yards. With Nagy, that was never the case. The highest you were was 9th. And the Chiefs were just not very good as an offense under Nagy. That's not an accident. There's something there. And that's off 3 years of data from Nagy as OC versus Bieniemy's 5 years. There's a reason why Andy Reid very quickly got on the line with Bieniemy after the Bears lost their playoff game. That's what we wanted from the very start. And I know some people were upset because the Chiefs did not interview anyone. I don't know if we know that for a fact. Not all of these interviews get reported to the media. I mean, the Chad O'Shea thing, that was not even on any radar. And the word just got out there, the Chiefs are hiring Chad O'Shea. That's how that came together. Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice have never played under Eric Bieniemy. So I'm excited to see what those two guys are going to do. By the way, a quick note on Rice, because I know it comes up every single time. And my prediction, that lawsuit is going to end in either a settlement, or if she really wants to see that lawsuit all the way through, it probably won't be until the 1 year mark of when that lawsuit was filed, which was in mid-February. So Rice is going to be a free agent, more likely than not, by the time that lawsuit sees the end. So the way I see it right now, I see the Chiefs offense making a lot of improvements this year. I do, because I think the upgrades with your coaching staff matter. Bringing Tyquan Thornton was huge. I mean, the Chiefs have upgraded that running back room quite a bit. And that is a big jump. I got a question for you guys. And be honest here, what grade would you give the Chiefs running game last year? I mean, honestly, I would have to give it a D. And maybe that's being generous. The only reason I'm not giving it an F is because Kareem Hunt was very valuable in the short yardage situations. What he did on 3rd and short and 4th and short was more effective than what the Eagles do with the tush push. So the only reason I'm not giving them an F is because Kareem Hunt really came through in those short yardage situations when the Chiefs really needed it. So I'm curious to know, what grade would you guys give the Chiefs running game? Because I do think the running game, like we said earlier, and this is not a secret, I'm not giving you groundbreaking information here, a good running game will open up the passing game. If it's a great running game, hey, it's even better for your offense. but you need a good running game to help out Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice, because defense is not stacking the box because they weren't afraid of Pacheco and Hunt. That allowed them to be better prepared for speedsters like Worthy and Thornton. And yes, there were times where Worthy and Thornton were able to torch the defenders, but Mahomes unable to connect on those deep shots there. But hopefully that changes this year. And hopefully Eric Bieniemy can help fix that with Patrick Mahomes. D minus, C minus to D Yale. I think we all agree on the D right there. Hey, it's only fitting. We have a Mr. D's hat on right now. Listen, I'd like for Kareem Hunt to come back. I think the thought was it was going to be him and Kenneth Walker as a 1-2 duo, but I don't even know if we're getting that right now. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. I think ultimately, this is a Chiefs team that's going to get a lot done. Tyrann Mathieu on his podcast was asked who has the best offseason program, and he said hands down the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't even hesitate. And says they don't waste no daylight. They run all day. And he talks about how Andy Reid and a lot of his teams get off to very good starts. And he says that by the time the season starts, Chiefs players are in midseason form. I'm trying to think, how many times have the Chiefs lost a week 1 game? I know that it was a big deal that Mahomes was always great in September. The only week 1 games I can recall the Chiefs losing this past year, the Detroit game. 2014, they started 0-2. 2015, they were 1-5, but they won the first game. 2016, I remember. I think they started 1-1 in 2016. I can't recall. 2017, they were 5-0. They were the last team to lose a game. I mean, Andy Reid's teams are just really, really good. He's had a couple of 9-0 starts in Kansas City. I want to say off the top of my head, I believe the Chiefs on 3 occasions were the last team to lose a football game. 2013, 2017. No, it's more than 3. 2017. I think 2018, they were the last team to lose a game too. Because the Patriots handed Mahomes his first ever loss on Sunday Night Football. What was the other one? Oh, the 2024. Yeah, when they started 9-0. So, I mean, this team gets off to a lot of hot starts. So, you know, the 0-2 starts, we've only seen it twice, 2014 and 2025. And those 2 years, they missed the playoffs. The only 2 years under Andy Reid, you've missed the playoffs. Listen, is that a coincidence? Maybe. We've seen teams start off 0-2 and overcome that and do very well. I mean, the Chiefs were, 1-5? That could have easily been an 0-2 start. But they found a way to persevere, and they made it to the playoffs, not losing another regular season game after a 1-5 start. I remember the betting lines only gave them a 1.4% chance. So you know the Chiefs will be prepared, whether it's going to be Patrick Mahomes or Justin Fields to open up the season. And look, I know we mentioned this phrase earlier from John Sherman, sense of urgency. Look, not that this will change anything at the end of the day, but we do know the Chiefs have the mindset of a championship team. They just do. They just had a terrible season, and they're still viewed as that team. I mean, they're still high up there in the as one of the favorites for the Super Bowl. But I just see this Chiefs team right now, and people are not afraid to bet against the Chiefs. They're afraid to bet against the Chiefs, excuse me. Because you saw it on DraftKings that right now they're after the first wave of free agency, they were the most bet team to win the Super Bowl. That doesn't mean anything. Ultimately, the players still have to do their thing. But you know that with a better coaching staff, that will change things a lot. Look at 2012. They only won 2 football games. So what did they do in the offseason? They brought in a whole new coaching staff. They only kept, I think, 2 guys. Emmett Thomas was one of them. And rightfully so, by the way. But what happened? They changed the coaching staff. They changed a quarterback. They only changed a couple of other starting players here and there. So they go from a 2-win team to going 9-0. Tamba Hali said it during the 2013 season. It's coaching. Coaching matters, man. It absolutely does. And you're going to see it this year. You're going to say, holy shit, the wide receivers are talented. They just were not coached by the right offensive coordinator. They were not coached by the right wide receivers coach. So bringing in Eric Bieniemy and Chad O'Shea, that's huge. And by the way, to kind of back up my own point, Matt Nagy was one of the very last offensive coordinators to get hired. The only head coaching run he was really in the running for was the Tennessee job. And by the way, who did they fire at one point? Mike Vrabel. What happened to Mike Vrabel this year? Won Coach of the Year, led the Patriots to an AFC Championship win. Yeah, that Super Bowl sucked, but nobody expected them to go that far. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. That was his first year in New England. Coaching matters. And I don't think the Chiefs had the right coaching staff in place on the offensive side of the football. I would have liked to see a couple of more changes, but I think the changes they have right now with offensive coordinator and wide receiver, that alone is an upgrade. That's a huge upgrade that I'm excited to see. And I think that right there is going to really help Kansas City offensively be a better football team. And as far as the defense goes, that will help the defense. The Chiefs having all those 3 and outs and forcing their defense to come back out there and still played well, by the way, all things considered, that's going to help the defense. And hopefully the defense, because they have more holes on the offense right now, in my opinion. I think the offense is the unit that has to improve the most because I think they're given a lot right now. I mean, you have talented players. You've invested on a second round pick in Rice. You've invested a first round pick in Worthy, a first round pick in Simmons. You're paying a lot of money to Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, for crying out loud. Travis Kelce, I thought, was better this past year. Could have had 1,000 yards if Mahomes did not get hurt at the end of the year or come very close to it. So this offense, I think, could it still improve personnel-wise? Hell yes. But I think the defense needs much more than the offense right now. If this is your starting offense, the players I read from left to right on the line, Simmons, Suamataia, Humphrey, Smith, and Moore. And with your skill position players being Kelce, Worthy, Rice, Thornton, Mahomes, and Walker, that's a unit that can win football games. That unit can absolutely and should win games. Listen, I'll die on this hill forever and ever. The Chiefs wide receiver room should have been the best wide receiver room in the NFL last year. I don't like not reminiscing, but I guess dwelling on the past and hypotheticals, because that doesn't do us no good. But dude, if you had Worthy, Rice, Thornton, and Hollywood as part of your quad wide receivers, dude, that's a damn good group of wide receivers. I mean, that's not Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins and whatever great wide receiver you can think of. That's not that. Jackson Smith and Jigba, that's not that group of wide receivers. But that unit had so much speed and should have thrived. I think that was such a missed opportunity for Kansas City last year. And my hope is, with a better coaching staff, that changes. And you're going to see it this year. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. If you missed any part of this podcast, please check it out. We spent the first 15 minutes recapping the Chiefs Zone Live in Planet Comic-Con KC. I cannot say thank you enough to everyone from Planet Comic-Con KC and everyone who attended, and the support from local artists like Anthony Oropeza. You see his painting right there. Beskar Books, I'm repping their shirt right now. Mr. D's Donuts. They were super generous in what they did for the live podcast. I cannot thank people enough. For those who missed it earlier, I'll repeat real quickly. We are working on a second live podcast. And I mentioned earlier, I had a meeting earlier this month discussing strategizing for this. And this upcoming April, I'm actually going to go meet with the venue host. That I'm very eager for. Not going to be right away. Listen, Planet Comic Con that felt like a week. It was only 3 days. I'm excited just to get through this week just so I can relax on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm doing absolutely nothing on those days. Not even a Red Friday Q&A live. In fact, the Red Friday Q&A live chat, we're going to pause it for now until there's some significant news. Plus, I'm going to be on vacation right after this weekend, a very much needed vacation that I'm going to need. But yeah, once I get back from vacation, I'm going to go to the venue, meet with their marketing director as well as their owner, and we've got a lot to discuss. And I hope we can work something out during the season. I will say this, because a lot of you guys asked at Planet Comic Con, Casey, and I'll say this right now. My hope is we can do another live podcast the same weekend as a home game, not a home playoff game, as a home game. That would make a lot of sense. And I think when you find out if we do come to terms with this venue on a deal, you'll see this venue will make a lot of sense for a million reasons. So we'll see what happens there. All right, that'll do it for this episode. My name is Farzi Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me once again. I appreciate you all joining me. And if you guys enjoyed any part of this podcast, please give it a like, share it. If you miss it, it'll be archived shortly on Facebook, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and X. I'm Farzine. I'm out. Talk to you all on Wednesday.